Okay, guys, good morning. Um, I'm a hot mess this morning. I stayed up last night. I recorded this video at 11 o'clock last night, and then I stayed up until about midnight trying to get it to load. It wouldn't load, so I finally went to bed and thought by morning it will for sure be loaded. And sure enough, it was not. So I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, actually checked it at 4 o'clock this morning, and it was not loaded. So then I got up at 6 o'clock and thought, fine, I'll just record another video and use a different program. And so we'll see how this goes. You might get this video and you might not. I don't know. Time will tell. All right. So today we're going to be working on measuring volume. Now, volume, I'm not talking about the volume like, how loud or quiet something is. I know Jesse's in there playing her video game when my husband and I are watching TV. My husband's always like, turn the volume down. Not that kind of volume. Okay. I'm talking about liquid volume, the amount of space something takes up. And in this case, today we're going to be talking specifically with liquid volume. So the amount of space that a liquid takes up. Okay. You might also hear me use the word capacity because capacity actually means the maximum amount a container can hold. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at different containers and we're going to be measuring the capacity, how much volume or how much liquid this container can hold. Okay, so I might use the word volume, I might use the word capacity, but we're basically measuring the amount of liquid that is inside of a container. Okay. Now, yesterday you watched a video to kind of introduce you to the idea of volume. And in that video, they introduced you to words like liter and milliliter. That's the unit of measurement that we're going to be using to measure the volume. Okay. Anytime we measure, whether we're measuring length, whether we're measuring the weight, whether we're measuring the volume, we need to use a unit of measurement, right? Now, in the United States, when we're measuring volume in the United States, you're going to more often hear people talking in liquid ounces or fluid ounces, cups, pints, quarts, gallons. You'll hear people say how many gallons a tank will hold. Okay. But the rest of the world, and we've talked about this before when we've talked about length and when we've talked about weight, what we use in America is not what most of the rest of the world uses, which is the metric system. And so just like, we use inches to measure length, and in the metric system, they use centimeters. Okay. Same thing with volume. Okay. We might use cups or fluid ounces or pints or quarts, but the metric system is liters and milliliters. Okay. So in the video that you watched yesterday, it was talking about a milliliter being a very small amount of liquid. Okay. They kind of compared it to like drops. And so if you ever have used one of these medicine droppers, okay, this is measured in milliliters here. And if you put medicine in this and fill it all the way up, that's only 10 milliliters of liquid in there. Okay, so that's not very much. 10 milliliters is not very much liquid. I mean, you'd be able to just hold that in the palm of your hand without it even running out. Okay, so a milliliter is a very small amount of liquid. They also, I think they even mention a teaspoon, like just your regular old, if you go in your drawer and get out a teaspoon and fill that up with water, that's about 5 milliliters. Okay, not a large amount of liquid. Then they used, and I wish at school I had that big 1 liter bottle of water, but they used a big milk jug, not a big milk jug, not like a gallon jug, but they used a milk jug in the video yesterday and showed that was a 1 liter jug. Now, the closest I had to 1 liter in my house, I looked all around, is this big ranch bottle. We eat a lot of ranch. Jesse eats a lot of ranch. I have a small ranch bottle, and then I have this great big ginormous ranch bottle, and that is a 1 liter bottle. Okay. Also, my orange juice jug, this is 1.5 liters. So this is a whole liter and then another half liter. That's the closest I had here at home that was close to 1 liter. But at school, you can picture, I have it sitting on my counter. We refer to it all the time at school. And it's that great big water bottle. It's bigger than this little water bottle. This is actually 500 milliliters. Okay. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. Okay. So this little 500 milliliter water bottle, if I had 2 of these put together, that would be 1 liter. Okay. 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. And that's going to be really important for you to always remember. Okay. Because if you're measuring something that's quite a large, like I'm looking over at my fish tank right now, if I'm measuring the volume of my fish tank, I don't want to measure that volume in milliliters. Okay, that's going to be a lot of milliliters. So I'm going to want to measure that in liters instead. Okay, all right. So now, what we're going to be doing today, now that you understand what volume is and you understand the terms milliliter and liters, we're going to be actually doing some exploring today. So I asked you to get together a list of items and that you're going to need for this exploration. So if you didn't do that yet, you can pause the video and you can go and do that. Or you can watch this whole video and see what I'm doing and then go off and do your exploration. But I really want you guys to try to explore today the best you can with the materials that you have at home. At school, I have all kinds of materials and beakers and everything that we use, but at home, we're just going to have to try to do the best that we can. Okay, so I asked you to gather some materials. I wanted you to gather 3 or 4 items in your house that has milliliters on the label. Okay, so you're going to go around and find some liquids in your house that have labels on them. Now, when you look at a label, sometimes it'll tell you how many fluid ounces, it might tell you how many cups or pints or quarts, but then usually it'll also say in parentheses how many milliliters it is. Okay, so I want you to go exploring. The best place to find these things are in your bathroom and in your kitchen. You're going to find lots of liquids that have labels on them. Okay, I'm going to go through, and I only want you to get about 3 or 4 together, but I would like them to be of varying amounts. Okay, and what I mean by that is try to find one that's like under 100 milliliters or real close to 100 milliliters. Okay, try to find one that's maybe close to around 200 milliliters, maybe one that's close to about 500 milliliters, and then try to find one that's as close to 1,000 milliliters, which would be that 1 liter, as you can find. Okay. So here's are some of the containers that I have to give you some examples. Okay. This little container here, my essential oil container. Now this is only about the height of my thumb, so it's a real tiny container. This is 15 milliliters. Okay. I'm going to show you some of my small ones. I found my bottle of vanilla extract in my kitchen, and this is 59 milliliters, so real close to 60 milliliters. I have a little bottle of coconut oil here. This is about the height of my fingers. And this bottle of coconut oil is about 115 milliliters. Jesse's detangler spray, about 236 milliliters for that container. I already showed you my water bottle, which was 500 milliliters, but I thought it was interesting because this is my olive oil from my kitchen, and this is also 500 milliliters. And so sometimes things can trick you when you're looking at a container and you might be guessing about how much volume. It might trick you a little bit because containers can be tall and skinny and short and fat. And so sometimes it might trick your eyes a little bit. But these are both 500 milliliters, even though they're clearly like one's tall and skinny and one's short and fat. Okay. All right. And then I already showed you my ranch containers. This ranch container is about 473 milliliters. And this one is about, well, this one is 1.06 liters, which is really close to just 1 liter. So you might as well just say 1 liter. Okay. And then I showed you my orange juice container, which is about 1.5 liters. Okay. All right, so these are the containers that I have sitting here. Now, I'm actually going to use these as benchmark measurements. That means when I'm trying to estimate or guess the volume of, say, my coffee cup, which I need a drink. Let's say I want to measure the volume of my coffee cup. I'm going to use these other containers over here as benchmark measurements because I know the measurement of these. I know the volume, it's on the label. So I can kind of use these and make an estimate or guess how much volume is in my other containers. Okay. And then what I also asked you to gather is some empty containers. And what I'm going to use are things that we drink out of at home. Now, we don't really drink out of this one, but I have this cute little mug that I got years and years and years, a long time ago when I was a kid. I got this tiny little mug one time at a root beer stand that we were at, and my parents bought me this mug. So I've had it for a long, long time. It's real tiny. I mean, you can see just a teeny tiny little thing. I'm going to try to guess and then measure the volume of this mug. I'm going to measure the volume of my regular old coffee cup that I drink out of every day. We have two different size glasses in our house. We have these short glasses, and this is typically what Jesse will drink out of. And then we have these tall glasses, which is typically what Mr. McMullen and I will drink out of. Okay. So I want you to get about 3 or 4 empty containers, maybe different cups or glasses in your house that you guys drink out of. And those are going to be what you are measuring. Okay. That's what you're going to be finding the volume of. Now, if you have a measuring cup that has milliliters on it, that is going to be super helpful. So I'm really, really, really hoping and keeping my fingers tightly crossed that most of you have measuring cups with the milliliters on there. I have this handy dandy one that I can see how many cups, I can see how many ounces, and I can see how many milliliters. So hopefully you have something like that. If you don't, and you just need to use regular measuring cups, okay, you can Google and see how many milliliters are in a cup, and then how many milliliters are in a half a cup. That you could just cut in half, right? And how many milliliters are in a fourth of a cup or a quarter of a cup, which you would just take your 1 cup and divide it by 4, right? So you can Google and find out how many milliliters are in a cup. And actually, I'll tell you, it's 236 milliliters in a cup. But when I played with this at home, because it's liquid, because I was measuring water and not sugar or something like that, I was not able to fill this cup up all the way to the top. And so what I was finding is I was not getting 236 milliliters in here. I was getting more between 200 and 220 milliliters in here. So here's what I'm going to say to do. If you have to use regular old measuring cups to measure the volume, I'm going to make something easy on you, okay? Let's pretend that this is 200 milliliters. Even though it's 236 milliliters, go ahead and just say, you know what, 1 cup is 200 milliliters. And then just don't fill it all the way to the top because it's going to be hard to measure liquid with this measuring cup and not spill all over the place. So you're not going to be able to fill it all the way to the top anyway to get to that 236. So we're going to call this 200. Okay. If you need to use a half cup, then that makes it real easy. What's half of 200? 100. So again, just don't fill it all the way to the rim. Okay. And we're just going to call this 100. And then your quarter of a cup or your fourth of a cup, if you take 200 and divide it by 4, you're going to get 50, right? 50, 50, 50, 50. That's going to make your 200. Okay. And again, don't fill it to the rim. Okay. That's about the best I can help you out with if you just have regular old measuring cups at home. All right. Okay. So now, here's what you're going to do. You are also going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. And I think that's it. So you need your containers out of your cabinet or out of your refrigerator or bathroom that have the milliliters written on them. And I need you to have 3 or 4 at different amounts, at different volumes. I need you to have some drinking glasses of different sizes out of your cabinet. And I need you to have a measuring cup. And then you might want to have a pitcher of water handy, or you can just kind of do this beside the sink. Okay. So now you can either stop the video, go gather those things if you don't have them already, or go ahead and just watch the video, see what I'm doing, and then go and do it on your own. Okay. All right. When you get your paper and pencil, I want you to create, this is hard doing this, everything's backwards. I want you to create a chart like this, okay? I want you to divide it into 3 columns. Oops, it's on this side. This is so confusing. I want you to divide it into 3 columns. In the one column, I want you to write container. This is where you're going to list out the different containers that you are measuring. I'm going to measure my tiny little mug, my coffee cup, Jesse's glass, and my glass. Okay, I'm going to measure the volume of these containers. In the next column, I want you to write the word estimate, because first you're going to estimate and guess about how much volume is in that cup. Okay, and then I want you to do a column called actual, and that's where you're actually going to be measuring it. Again, if you're using regular old measuring cups, your actual measurement might still not be perfect, but we're going to do the best we can for being at home and not having the beakers like we have at school. Okay. All right. So then here's what you're going to do. Once you have all of your materials gathered and you have your paper divided up, here's what we're going to do. If you need to pause this video for a second to get caught up to me, that's fine. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pick a container. Okay. I'm only going to do one video. Oh, my video seems to be freezing. I don't know if you're going to end up seeing that on your end or not, but I was like frozen in time. I'm going to measure the volume of this cup right here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of my containers over here that have the labels on them. You can see all of those over there. I'm going to try to pick one that I think is going to be about the same amount as this. And so this container here, it's like, well, kind of almost like fits in there. This one here is 115 milliliters. I think this is a little bit more than my tiny cup. So on my chart, where it says estimate, I'm going to write down that I'm guessing that this is about 100 milliliters. Okay, about 100 milliliters. All right, then I am going to go ahead and I'm going to pour water into my cup. And I'm not going to fill it so full that it's going to spill. Okay. I don't want to make a big mess. I don't want your parents like knocking on my door. Okay. And then go ahead. Now, if you have a cup like this, that's quite a large cup here. This is actually 2 cups. You can pour the liquid into your container that you're measuring, fill it to capacity, and then pour it in to your measuring cup. And then you're going to want to set it down on a flat surface. Now, oh, I was pretty close. My measuring cup, the scale on there is counting by 20s, and it's between 80 and 100. So what would be right between 80 and 100? 90, right? So my estimate, my guess was 100. I was pretty darn close. It's actually 90 milliliters. So in the column that says actual, I'm going to write down 90 milliliters. Okay. Now I'm going to show you real quick if you have to use regular measuring cups. Okay. This method isn't going to quite work. It's not going to work to pour it into here and then into your measuring cups. You're going to actually, because this is a small container, I'm going to use the smallest measuring cup I have, which is my 1/4 cup. And I told you that we're not going to fill it to capacity. We're going to pretend it's about 50 milliliters, even though it's more like 57 milliliters. Okay. But we're going to call it 50 milliliters. I'm going to go ahead and fill up, and don't do this close to the computer or phone or whatever you're watching. So if you're trying, don't try to do this at the same time. Stop, walk away, and do it. Okay. I don't need you breaking your computer. All right, so I'm going to fill this up. This is 50, and I'm going to pour it into, you probably can't see, I'm going to pour this into my cup. Now look, that was 50 milliliters, and it only filled it about half full. So I'm going to fill it up again. And I'm going to pour it in again, and I'm going to go slow because I might not be able to get the whole thing in. Ooh. Actually, okay. So my one measurement, when I poured it into here and then into my measuring cup, said about 90. And then when I was using this, I was getting more like about 100. Okay. Again, guys, because we don't have real clear and accurate beakers like we do at school, this isn't going to be a perfect science, But you know what? It's going to give you the experience that you need to understand milliliters, practice with measuring volume. So it's not going to be exact and perfect, but hey, it's the best we can do in these times, right? Okay, so guys, this is all I want you to do. I want you to use all of these containers over here that have all of these items that have milliliters written on them. I want you to use them as a benchmark to help you decide how much volume your drinking containers have. So if I wanted to move to my drinking glass, now I'm going to look over here and I'm going to try to figure out which container I think might have the same volume or close to it. This has 473 milliliters, and I'm going to guess that this actually holds more than this ranch container. So I might guess that my glass is about, I'm going to say my glass is about, you know what? This is exactly 500 milliliters and it just fits inside of there. I'm going to guess my cup might hold 600 milliliters. So you see how you're going to use these items as a benchmark to help you guess the items that you're actually measuring. Okay. So on my chart, I would put that my estimate is 600. And then I would go to work on measuring the actual volume and write that in that column. Okay, guys, have fun exploring. This is actually something fun I like to do at school. Usually we save this lesson for a nice warm day when we can go out in the courtyard and you're not spilling water all over my classroom. I've been there, done that. I actually had like a lake in my classroom one year because I set up stations and everybody was measuring. It was a lake in my room. I kid you not. So I usually save this lesson for a nice warm day when we can go out in the courtyard and you can make a mess out there. All right, stop this video. Go have fun, explore. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a picture of your exploration sheet, the one that has the 3 columns where you're doing your container, your estimate, and your actual. I'd like you to take a picture of that and send it to me. And then that way I can see your exploration that you did today, measuring liquid volume. Milliliters, liters. Those are the words you need to remember today, guys. How many milliliters are in a liter? 1,000. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Bye. Miss you.